Hello, and welcome to Romance Isn't Dead, episode 42. Today we'll be discussing Not a Hero by Cherise Sinclair from 2019. How are we doing today, Ray?
Not bad. Alive. Wishing I'd made another cup of tea because my throat's really dry.
Whoopsies.
So if you hear these funny little choking noises, it's just me.
Don't worry. Ray's just choking. She'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm alive.
Yeah, well, summertime has arrived in South Carolina, and so it is. Ray is jealous of my afternoon thunderstorms. It's also hurricane season, so I'm fully expecting, because it's 2020, for our house to be destroyed by a hurricane. Because why not?
Yeah,
I only live 120 miles inland. Plenty of range for a hurricane to absolutely destroy my life. I fully expect it to happen because it's 2020.
Yeah, 2020 hasn't exactly had the best, wasn't it? What was it people said when 2019 was getting close to over? Oh, thank God, 2020's got to be better than this. I think every single person that said that has cursed 2020, and there were probably hundreds upon thousands of people that said it. So thanks.
Yeah. 2020, man, it's like it there's a meme out there of Captain Picard sitting at his chair from the next Star Trek: The Next Generation. This is damage reports. That's how every single morning feels. Like, just give me the damage report.
Yeah, what's gone wrong now? It is sort of like that whole, people say, what could go wrong next? Please don't.
No. Nature will give you something that goes wrong, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. As I said, please don't ever say it again, because that's what causes it.
Hurricane season is here. I can't even with this. So, I mean, we've already had 3 named storms, and hurricane season literally just started 10 days ago or something crazy. So woo.
I mean, that's the thing. I think this year is 2016 on steroids.
I can't right now. 2020, man, I just can't.
See, I don't think
it can get worse.
I don't stop it. We can't say that.
I say I know it can get worse.
Yeah, I know, but we don't.
It's not a challenge. It's not a challenge. I am not daring somebody.
Yeah, but it kind of could be taken that way.
No.
I don't need anything else. Thank you. I think it's enough.
Well, I think we are either living through a time period where someone has broken a seal on the apocalypse, or no, I think it's mostly just the broken the seal on the apocalypse.
That's the thing. I mean, I had post this week. I don't get very much post anymore because all my bills and everything are sent via email, which goes into an email that I don't open very often. Shocker. And my letters were from the hospital telling me that they are going to blind me for a day, courtesy of tests that they have to do on my eyes for diabetic retinopathy. And the other one was, we're going to poke and prod you with needles for an hour.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, and that was my post yesterday. I don't want any more. I don't want any more post.
And I don't think you would. We actually today in the post got doggy marijuana. Like hemp. I mean, it's not like actual marijuana, but we need to shave our dog, and she does not love that. And so we got her some stuff to hopefully calm her down, and it's like doggy hemp or something.
That's the thing. I sent you that video, didn't I? Of most people say, when you give your cat catnip, they really mellow out and everything else.
Yeah.
My cat goes hyper. I've been treating her with it to sort of give her something to amuse herself with, or more amuse me with. And I just sprinkle a tiny bit on the floor, and the next thing you know, she's rolling around in it like a pig in muck. It's hilarious. It is truly
that is
hilarious,
hilarious.
especially if you see my cat, because she has got very, very long fur. So after she's finished rolling around in it, she's got catnip buried in her fur.
So she says, shh. So she's hyper for hours?
It's not.
Wow. Well, our dog Daisy is the sweetest natured dog I think I've ever met. And she just wants to get up and walk away. Like she just wants to get up and get away from the clippers. But we have to clip her, we have to, and it's just like, okay, desperation mode. So
Yeah.
we got that. We'll see how that works out for Daisy. So anyway, it is what it is. Well, did we want to talk about Not a Hero?
Yes, I think we should.
Okay. So I'm going to read the blurb. But before I do that, Ray and I said we probably need to do a couple of books that have a little bit more heat than we have been doing, because we looked at Emma and we looked at A Room with a View, and so that was a couple of months of very staid, if you will, romance novels. They're romance, but they're very staid romance.
They are indeed.
So I took that as a challenge and said, okay. And so I found Cherise Sinclair, who writes, as I believe I mentioned before, has written several erotica type novels. And this is not one of them, but it is the first in a new series of 4 books in the Sons of the Survivalist series. And it came out in 2019. So it's relatively recent and available at Amazon for like $5 here in the States. I'm not sure how much it is over in Britain. But
I think it was $3.14. The first one was $3.49.
Okay, so not a huge amount of money. So it's relatively inexpensive, and it might be available in a library. I'm not sure. So the blurb on the back. In the Alaska wilderness, 4 streetwise boys become men and brothers. Now the crazy ex-military survivalist who plucked Gabriel and 3 other boys from an abusive foster care home has died, but the Sarge leaves them with a final mission: to revive the dying town of Rescue. Gabe is done with being a hero. Wounded in body and soul, the retired SEAL simply wants to remain holed up in his isolated cabin. He sure doesn't want to be chief of police in some defunct town, but he has his orders. Audrey needs a place to hide. After the Chicago librarian discovers a horrendous crime, she wakes to an assassin in her bedroom. Injured and terrified, she flees, covering her trail every inch of the way. New name, new ID, new home. As Audrey learns to survive and rescue, she begins to fall for the town and the intimidating chief of police who protects it. Can the shy introvert and the deadly police chief find a life together? Despite discord in the town, Gabe is finding his own peace with a quiet young woman who seems to have no past. She's adorable and caring and so very lost. But how can he trust someone who lies to him with every breath she takes? Ray? Any issues with the blurb on the back? How's that?
I wouldn't have read it if I'd read the blurb on the back.
Well, you would have had to have read it because I told you had to read it.
Yeah, I know. But it sounds boring.
Well, I think the word you used when you described this book was formulaic. So
it was, but the thing is, as I said, that's the thing. That was after having read the book, and I read it. It's another book that I read incredibly quickly. I think it took me about 2.5 hours in total to read it. But that, listening to the blurb, I wouldn't have read the book. Okay, so I had to, but I wouldn't have picked this book up having read the blurb, because the blurb makes the book doesn't even make it sound formulaic. It makes it sound really dull. It doesn't make Audrey sound exciting. It doesn't make Gabe sound interesting.
Hot?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It doesn't. None of that makes them sound like appealing characters that you'd want to read about.
Okay, unlike the heroine in the last book we read,
Audrey was likable, but the blurb on the back of the book doesn't make her sound that way.
Okay. And I liked Gabe too. I mean, I liked them all. I don't know. I liked these characters. So
Apart
maybe
from
that
the
made me.
Reverend.
Well, yeah. But to me, he is not just a one-dimensional villain quite yet. I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of depth yet, right? But I could see where he would be an interesting kind of character, and I think I can forgive him us not getting like a backstory on Reverend Parrish.
Yeah.
At least not in this book. So, you know,
Don't get one in
and
the
the
next
other
one
thing
either.
is, no, you don't. But you do get some interesting, like, you're starting to see things that are coming up in the back, like you're starting to see that there are cracks in the facade there, which to me is interesting and important, I think, for going forward. So yeah, I mean, I actually I liked this book. I didn't like, I mean, if I was going to be alone on a desert island, this is probably not the book I would choose to take with me.
What would be the book you chose to take with you?
That's not fair. I shouldn't have said that.
No, what is the book though you would take with you?
I don't know, because then I would vacillate between, do I need to take a good book or do I take a book I actually like?
See, we have a show over here called Desert Island Discs. And at the end of it, after you've picked all the records that you love, you pick one that you take with you. They give you the Bible and the complete works of Shakespeare, and you can pick a luxury item and another book. I'd say keep the Bible. No offense, but I would. And then I'd say, can I have 2 other books? I don't need the Bible. It's not really my cup of tea, and I'm being honest. But I'd take the Shakespeare because I do love it. However, that you saying that on the desert island makes me think, what would your book be?
I would respectfully say that I need more time to consider it. I just know it probably wouldn't be Not a Hero. Okay.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, that's the thing. It's a book for brief entertainment.
Sure.
But then, so the majority of the books we read.
Yes. Absolutely. I
think the majority of books that we look at as a whole on the podcast are the books for brief moments of escape. And right now we need that more than ever.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the thing was, I didn't dislike the book. It was incredibly formulaic and incredibly predictable. But then, as you pointed out to me in that self-same conversation, most romance novels are. And you're not wrong. There's always a minor twist. There's always an unexpected bad guy. There's always an almost clear declaration of love when you least expect it, but you do expect it because you know it's going to happen. And this book had all of those things. So it wasn't a bad book. But as I said, had I read the blurb on the back, it wouldn't have been a book I would have automatically purchased from Amazon myself.
Right.
Because the blurb doesn't do the book justice. It makes the book sound really dull. There's nothing in that blurb that says to me there's murder, excitement, undertones of rebellion, not violence so much as vandalism and unrest, as well as the actual fire between the 2 main characters. That doesn't come out in that blurb. Okay. So your issue is with the blurb, the way they described it almost more than anything else. I think that sometimes blurbs don't do a book justice. And if I know they say don't judge a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read, because this was the book that you picked, I didn't do any more than go to Amazon and buy it. So I did no research on it. So it was an almost like an impulse buy rather than a carefully thought out process.
Right, absolutely. So what did you think of Gabe as a character? I like that military alpha male protector sword as a romantic hero. I just like that kind of character. Kind of a take charge kind of guy. I really like that kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked Gabe. Yeah, I mean, I kind of got where he was coming from, kind of wanted to hole up and lick his wounds for a while and whatnot. And then I understood why he was suspicious of Audrey. And then I also understood why he kind of backed off of that. Like he kind of realized, wait a minute, he took a step back and realized that she was hiding, right? That it wasn't just like, and he sort of trusted his instincts about her.
Yeah.
As opposed to how you see so many times you get sometimes you get heroes that are like, they don't listen to their instincts and instead they go with their, oh, well, this must be right. And for me, I like that. The other thing is I liked Audrey. I mean, she's a librarian, which is amazing. And she's also pretty feisty. And so I like that. What did you think about Audrey?
And that's the thing. I liked Audrey. I mean, she is, as you said, she's a librarian, and that's something that I actually wanted to be for such a long time. She had a lot of courage.
Right.
Given her background. I mean, she was constantly browbeaten by her mother and everything else. And she was resourceful, very resourceful.
Right.
She finally found a place to fit in, and then the proverbial hit the fan. And instead of running away, she showed courage and stayed put.
Right. Stand and fight. Recognizing she has to stand and fight.
Yeah, because if she ran, she was going to have to run forever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I liked the dynamic between Gabe and his brothers as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like always calling him old man.
Yeah, always calling him old man. But there was for boys that weren't actually blood brothers in the traditional sense. They probably were blood brothers in the untraditional sense, but they were incredibly close.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they were so different as well.
Right.
There was none of this, every single character is exactly the same. So, as I said, it's not that I didn't like the book. I did like the book. It was formulaic. There were certain elements of it that, obviously, every single book has their elements of uniqueness. Mm-hmm. But they do fall into that element of formula. Mm-hmm. And she did create some really good characters. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, you had this entire town of people.
Right. Like Tucker and Guzman and Sarah and Uriah and... Yeah. Dante. Lillian amused
Lillian,
me.
I loved Lillian. Well, Lillian. That's another character called Lillian.
Ah, yes. I like Lillians. They're feisty. I have a Lillian of my own. My great-grandmother was a Lillian, as was my grandmother. It's his family name. Yeah, so I liked this book, and I liked her characters. Heat scale. Thoughts?
I think it's probably on par with the Kleypas for heat scale.
Right.
Because
pretty high up there.
It's pretty high up there. I think that there were elements.
And it starts earlier in this book.
It does start a lot earlier in this book.
Like first third of the book.
I was sitting on my balcony reading it.
Uh-huh.
And I know the thing is, I blush very easily. I am a traditional, very, very, very pale English person. Very, very pale. I have zero color on my skin. You may as well actually. In fact, if you look at my skin, you can see right through it, which is great. I'm a ghost. And I wish I were joking. I am that pale. Look.
I believe you. I mean, I am not, because I've done so much damage to my skin. Like, I'm traditional Gen X in South Carolina with, when I was a kid, baby oil,
same
sunscreen
here.
at high noon.
Yeah, same
but
here.
Eventually I tanned, kind of thing. Lots of skin damage. But anyway, go ahead.
I didn't eventually tan. I just burnt and peeled.
I tanned.
I burnt and peeled, and I come from a family of people who tan very easily, which is quite disappointing. For me anyway, not for them. I'm the odd one out. But where was I?
You were on your balcony blushing.
Oh yeah,
apparently.
Blushing really badly, because there were certain scenes in this, and I think, please don't anybody look up here, because it's been a while since I'd read anything with in any way on the chili pepper scale. It's been a while since we've read anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With that kind of steam and heat to it. And as with Clay Pass, she's quite explicit.
Eloquent?
Yeah, eloquent, explicit.
Yeah.
Detailed.
Yep. You said, hey, I took it as a challenge.
I know.
I took it as a challenge. I was like, okay, well, I'll find something.
I think we were kind of equal on the...
Except it started a lot earlier in this book. It started in the first third, and yours started in the last third.
Yeah, but then mine was a historical romance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yours was a modern one. And I suppose in a way, Claypass still had to take into account Georgian sensibilities.
I guess. I'm sorry. She played fast and loose with the entire Industrial Revolution, so...
Yeah, I know.
So, whatevs. Whatever.
But then I think more people would have had a problem with sex happening on page 20.
This is page, 60 probably? I don't know. I don't have it bookmarked. I didn't think to bookmark it. But it is pretty early in the book, actually.
It is very early in the book.
And if you don't know anything about Alaska, and I don't personally know anything about Alaska personally, my husband was stationed in Alaska for I think 4 years, so he can actually tell you things about Alaska. And he kind of confirmed some of the things in this book about moose aren't exactly friendly, kind of thing. And
I have heard that moose aren't exactly friendly.
Yeah.
But then I remember watching in the 80s, I suppose, Northern Exposure, which I think is based in Alaska.
Maybe. Probably.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but there's a moose in it.
Yes, there is.
There's a moose that constantly appears. I did love that show.
There's a moose walking down Main Street in this book too. So
yeah, it was based in Alaska.
Well, there you
Northern
go.
Exposure. So yay, we got that right. But that's why. But that moose was they were a bit wary of it.
Right. Well, okay. So I would say, I have actually read the next book in this series, and I didn't enjoy the second book in the series as much as I enjoyed this one.
I'm 50% of the way through it.
But I will definitely read Bull's story and Hawk's story because I liked it well enough to do that.
I'm curious about Hawk, and I like Bull, but I don't. I'm 46% of the way through Kaz's story, the second book, and the fact that I'm 46% of the way through it rather than finished with it says how
as much.
It's not speaking to me as much. I'm not so keen on the heroine, and Kaz is just not I don't know what it is about him that isn't talking to me.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also worth noting that Cherise Sinclair goes out of her way to ensure that we understand that these heroes are not all white.
Oh yeah.
Right. Gabe is white. Kaz is of I think his parents are from Mexico, I think is what the determination was. Or his mother is Mexican, his father is white. I'm not sure, but he's not white. And then Bull is Polynesian.
Yes.
And then I think
and
Hawk is white.
Huge.
But yeah, he's really big. I think Hawk is supposed to remind us of The Rock. Dwayne Johnson.
Well,
he's supposed to.
He gave himself the name Bull.
Right.
Because he wanted to grow up big and strong. And he definitely did that by the sound of things.
And boy, howdy, did he. Right. Woo, doggy.
6'4" and very, very broad.
Yes. Which makes me think of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. So, and then Hawk is the other brother who I think is really clear is the most damaged of all of them. Probably physically and
God
damaged.
And very reticent.
Yes.
We haven't seen very much of him.
Very angry. He pops back up in Kaz's book.
Yeah, I know. As I said, yeah. But he pops back rather than is a constant character.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even appear until the very, very end of the first book.
Right, exactly. Like you've heard of him, but that's all you just heard of him. So, so you're reading Kaz's book. You're interested in Bull's book because you like Bull. So, same. But she is not introduced. I don't think Sinclair has introduced Bull's heroine yet, even in Kaz's book.
Yeah, but she didn't. But she didn't introduce Kaz's heroine until Kaz's book.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, just a matter of course. We don't know her yet, and sometimes authors kind of tease us with something, but they didn't do that. So, obviously, then this book had some things to recommend it. If you like the formula, then you'll probably like the book, right? To me, for instance, Jane Ann Krentz is a very formulaic writer, but I tend to like her formula, so I read her books.
Right? She started off as a Mills and Boon author.
So I liked this book. I would tell you not to let your kid read this book.
But then I think that goes for either of the books that we've talked about in the last few weeks.
Yes, exactly. Hand her Emma instead.
Yes,
but
Emma or A Room with a View, either of those.
Perfectly fine. Definitely not anything by Cherise Sinclair, and probably nothing by Lisa Kleypas either. So anyway, is there anything else that we wanted to say about this book?
It's frustrating, I think, that she released 2 books in very, very quick succession, and now there's been nothing in this series because I know that she's been working on others. Actually,
no, because this book came out in 2019 and then Kaz's book came out late 2019, like almost a year later, I think. And so
I thought they both came out quite close together.
I don't think so. I don't know. Let me see. I've got it pulled up on my Kindle.
Yeah.
Okay, so I bought the first one in February of 2019 and I bought the second one in late November of 2019. So there was at least 10, 12 months between them. So if she comes out with Bull's book at the end of 2020 or beginning of 2021, it's not that far different. Oh, Ray's roommate has come to visit. Her name is Darcy. And she thinks she owns the world.
Oh, yes, but she's not named for Darcy from Pride and Prejudice, which is what my family thinks.
Just let it roll.
I can't help. I find it quite funny when they say that. When they say, oh, you named her for Darcy. It's like, no, I did not.
But whatever.
Yeah. You've never read my fanfic.
Yeah. Nope, never read that. I have.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about, wasn't it? we were talking about how that was an interesting thing in the UK. I don't know if anybody's been following this, but following on from all of this stuff with the pandemic and the fact that lockdown has been eased slightly, it is now a criminal offence for two consenting adults to have sex in a house if they don't live together.
So they can have sex in like Central Park or something, but not.
We don't have Central Park, but yeah, they can have sex in Hyde Park.
But I mean,
I suppose.
Hyde Park then.
Well, I don't know if they no, because they're not allowed to get within 6 feet of each other.
Seems like that law would already sort of cover that if you're not allowed to get within 6. Never mind.
But we were talking and we said, oh, this would be the perfect plot for a fanfic.
Oh my gosh. What a mess.
It's quite funny.
All right, y'all. Ray, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at allaboutray, and on my blog, which is so old. I haven't updated it in a while, and that is allaboutraid@wordpress.com. And obviously you can find us at ISN Romance on Twitter.
Perfect. If you want to find me for whatever reason, I mean, and why would you? I'm Palmetto Blue.
Star Wars and crochet.
Yeah, well, okay. But I haven't really been talking a lot recently. So, but you're welcome to come talk to me, and I will be happy to talk back to you. If you do find me on those places. So Palmetto Blue, Twitter and Instagram. And Ray, how would you like to sign out today?
Keep on searching for your happily ever after.
And I would remind you that romance isn't dead. It's alive and well on your bookshelf. Bye.
Bye.